Oh, hey. Hello, everyone. AmyR here with Prairie Paper and Ink. Face. Card making space. Live. Unscripted. Unfiltered. Brain not turned on yet. We'll get there. The unpaid intern is in the corner.
That's me.
Yeah, he's going to help. And Altenew might be popping in. Mitzi from Altenew might be popping in as well because I'm doing some Altenew stuff today. So we shall just see, because there's a time difference between all the things. Which, speaking of, has a code. I just have to figure out how I'm gonna share that without turning anything off. There we go. Do I have... Oh yeah, and my microphone works. So yeah, there's my little exclusive code. The info is in the description box directly below the video for those interested in that kind of stuff. And yeah. Yes, and hello to everybody. Hello. I'm so happy y'all are tuning in, and we're just gonna see. As all, I'm on like 5 million different tabs open, literally. Which, as the countdown was going, we were discussing like microphones, and I was like changing camera settings and all. Why do I do this? I started organizing before I was supposed to go live. I'm like, let's just say my ADHD meds probably need to be like upped because I am a mess. In fact, and I'm trying to turn my phone on to silent so that, because that's usually the only time it decides to go off. So anyway. Hello to everybody, and yeah, we're gonna make something. We're gonna make a card. I don't know. I'm a professional. We'll figure it out. Today is literally me flying by the seat of my pants. It's chaos, y'all. But really, when is it not? When is it not? You know. Okay, let me put my little tea bag over there. And got all my wish lists pulled up. Yeah. Black Friday's coming. Some of the brands already have some sales. Altenew does. I was getting a little caught in the weeds there before I went live because they've got like pre-Black Friday sales going on, and I'm just like, one thing at a time. I will be editing my sale page, or like building a little Black Friday sale page on my website, which is linked below, amyr.com. I already need to update it, but I will be dealing with that this week, just curating as much info as possible. And for those that choose to use my affiliate links, I very much appreciate it. Use whoever you want to support. It's great. Disclaimer, that's how affiliate links work. Myself and almost all of the other card makers out there that, do content use affiliate links. That just means that it's a little cookie. So when you click on specific, like one of my links, and then you fill your cart with whatever, does not matter what you use. You fill your cart, you check out, whoever link you clicked on last gets credit for the order. And it does not cost you anything. There's no hidden extra costs, anything like that, because I would not use them if that was the case. And yeah, so Black Friday is a Black Friday sale where you don't have to leave the house. Oh, heck yeah. We do not participate in any of the actual physical insanity, like leaving the house on. No, nothing is worth it. Okay, so everything is listed and linked, and then yeah, I give away the card I make during my lives. That is in the description box below the video. And yeah, I think we're good. Everything is good. Everything seems to be caught up. We are gonna do a very simple card. It should be simple. Our plans. I have things linked. We will see. I forgot to grab one of my little grip mats. I'll do anything to not leave the house. Same. I don't like it. It just exhausts me. I had to leave my house multiple times last week to do errands and appointments and different things. And it's so draining. And I got more coming up this coming week too. So I'm like, yay, I love that for me. Wah. Anyway, let's move the camera down. Yes. Okay. So my main focus today is this Find Joy layering stencil set. Let me move that over. Which doesn't, look like much. But in true Altenew form, it all comes together to make a fabulous little card. And I got random stuff stuck to my desk. So, yeah, the thing I was liking about this one is you could use just the frame for whatever and not use the sentiment portion because that's its own stencil. So, options are always good, but we're going to use the whole thing, but I'm also going to use it on the inside of my card, which a card base would help. One of those things. I did have one already made. Okay. So which also means I need a bigger grip mat. Not this grip mat. Let's use the bigger one, which I didn't link to because I wasn't thinking before we started. Like I said, I'm tired, y'all. Anyway, yeah, Black Friday. It's fun in the card making sphere, there's usually some pretty good deals and things. However, I just gotta find the right craft mat. The online shopping in general, I'm over it. I have 5 million emails I need to weed through and delete because nowadays it's all pre-month early Black Friday deals, and it. I'm tired of it. It's beyond overwhelming. I'm sick of it, especially the types of brands that it's I purchase from them once and then they send 5 emails a day. It's I unsubscribe, block, all of it. I hate it. I hate it so much. Yeah. Yeah, when you walk into Lush and they're just like, hi, do you want to tell me all your personal trauma and what soap means to you today? It's leave me alone and let me shop. That's one place I will order online so I can avoid going to the store because we don't need to talk about it. Doodly doo. Okay. And cannot remember the last time I went into a shopping center. Same. Okay. Anyway, card base. This is standard A2 size, so 4 1/4, 5 1/2 inches. And then, oh, hello, Kath. It has been a while. And then this little panel, I already trimmed this down. I trimmed this down to about 3 3/4 by 5 inches. So 3 3/4 by 5 inches, smaller than my card base because I want a little bit of a frame. You could totally skip this, especially with something like this. Once we get it all together, it'll make sense. But a stencil set like this, you could just do all this right on your card front, and it would look fabulous. It'd be amazing. Clean and simple, do your thing. But I'm going to be ridiculous about everything. What else is new? So we're going to stencil this little panel. And because I cut it smaller, some of the pattern's going to hang off the edge just a smidge, as you can see. This would fit technically, I would say a 4-inch by 5 1/4 panel would kind of frame it up perfectly. But I wanted it a little smaller because I'm probably going to use a press plate for the background. We'll get to it. So with this guy, the one thing I am going to have to do is use a little bit of masking paper because otherwise I'm going to make a mess because we've got florals and leaves on the same stencil and they could have done it separate, a stencil for just that, a stencil, but then that adds more stencils, which adds to the cost. So I don't mind this. The old version of me wouldn't have been happy, but now that we've got all all the tools and bells and whistles. You know what I mean. And all the little like blending brushes and things. I'm thankful that my husband does the grocery shopping. Same. Chris does most of it. We've talked about that. He goes in with his over-ear headphones on so that people don't talk to him. Yep. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, oh yeah. Hear the weirdest stuff. Oh yeah. People will like random strangers saying the most like bizarre stuff to him, which I just find fascinating. It's funny, really. But he goes in with his headphones, gets all the groceries, comes home, and it's like so much nicer. So anywho, so we're gonna just make my life easier, and then that way we can just keep the colors all clean and fabulous. And then yeah, fresh dye inks. I just linked to the general ink category because I wasn't even sure. I wasn't even sure. Just you can remove what colors I was going to use, because that's always a thing too, like color indecision. But I went with the new like purples, you know? So I couldn't resist. But any colors are going to look beautiful with this. But this is the new like Moonlit Twilight. This came out in the November. It's the November release. Yeah. This is what this is all from. They're beautiful. And oh, I know what I forgot. You want to look up just on my YouTube channel. If you search my videos, search up Shimmer Relief. And then you could link to it. Because I did it. I think I put it. I hope I put it in the title. Shimmer Relief Paste, first impression? Yes. You could link to that. I'll put it in the description below. We'll get to this in a minute. But yeah. There we go. So I'm going to start with that one's the center. So let's do like the medium shade for this. We'll use the medium and the medium dark. So because we're doing that, we also need blending brushes. Okay, there we go. New yes. So many. They released 3 quads in the November release. So there was the purples. They did the Sage Garden, which I'm also going to use. I'll use these for the greens. So more, we got Silver Sprout, Sage Stone, which this was part of the Cozy Comfort Retreat last year that I was part of. And then Olive Grove and Mossy Granite. So again, like muted greens. And then they did the earth tones, which are very, how would you describe these shades? They're kind of like muted browns, and I would almost put them in like a silver / green undertone, especially this umber shadow shade. I need to swatch all of these as usual. Again, are we surprised? Are we surprised? Yeah, I'm behind on everything. But yeah, got Shattered Shell, Warm Linen, Ginger Root, and Umber Shadow. And I'm probably going to use the Ginger Root for the details and Umber Shadow for the flower centers. We'll see. We'll see when we get to it. Like I said, I had a rough idea in my head, but you know, it is what it is. Okay. I'm so happy they came up with new purple. Oh yeah, I love the more purples, the better. Purples are difficult colors to like formulate and to have a variety of. There's not much variety in purple, which always makes me sad. But Altenew's got several, and this quad just made me happy because I was like, oh, I don't have anything like this. I love it. I love it so much. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we're gonna start with our lightest shade for these base flowers. And I'm going to make life because I'm also doing the inside. I'm going to be making my life a little bit more difficult in some ways than it needs to be. But if I do it like this, yeah, okay. I don't need huge pieces. So we can go like that, which also means I can go like this, that gonna fit right in there? Oh, it is. I love when that happens. Yay for me. Yay for me. Okay. If my hubby receives a suspicious call, he answers in German. Love it. Love it. Chris used to hand over the phone to the kids when spammers would call. And just let them talk. Just waste their time. Or Chris, you used to do that yourself. Just waste their time. Like he would just play dumb and act like a little old man that doesn't understand anything. Like all of it. Just waste their time. Love it. Love it. Exactly. Exactly. We've talked about this during lives before. Like there's entire like people that have like dedicated entire careers to scamming the scammers. And yeah, he watches those videos quite often. It's been a while, but yeah, he watches them quite often and they're entertaining. Okay, so I'm going to be going like back and forth. This will make sense as we get into it. So I'm gonna sort of center this as much as I can. In fact, I'm gonna take, where's my, there it is. This will give me my visual. So there's the top of the like score line for the card base. So then this way I can just kind of visually line it up to like that. There we go. And then basically whatever's left over on my brush, oops, stick you down, stay where you belong. Kind of do that. And then I can just tap off inside the lid. Because when I'm doing the inside, I don't like going as heavy as I do on what will be the card front. So use whatever's left over on my brush, use whatever ink is left on the stencil, etc. So then we just get like a lighter, and that's where I like the frame, because the frame will just kind of go around, but there'll still be plenty of space, you know, to write on the inside of the card. So then we can just go back and repeat. So line this up like this, press them back into place, and then we can just move the Post-it tape like that, so that all we have exposed now is the greenery. So this guy, we will trim him down a little bit, and then just make sure that my little bits aren't covering any of the leaves now, because that's what we want to leave in place. Okay, so if I gotta tear the Post tape, it's fine, and I still reuse it. I don't care. I genuinely don't care. If it gets me to where I need to go, that's all that really matters. Hello to everybody. My grandmother blows a very shrill whistle loudly when she gets telemarketer calls. Good for her. I love it. I love it. And yes, because that's generally who they aim for, is the elderly. And I hate it. It makes me so angry. Like, scammers are the worst. The lowest of the low. I have nothing good to say about them. They don't deserve anything good to be said about them. Okay. Yep, colored the flower, or covered the florals. For this greenery, let's do Sage Stone. And this set, I did, that was the lightest, this one, this one. Yeah. I've already got like dedicated blending brushes just for these colors, because there's so much softer. I was talking about this. I think it was I can't remember if it was a live or a video or what. Because my set of green blending brushes, because the greens I normally reach for, of course, are like the brighter, more intense sort of shades. And then ones like this that are so much softer. I was like, rather than trying to like clean up my brushes, I think I am going to become one of those people that I'm going to have a set dedicated to like lighter shades, softer shades, you know? Why not? Why not? So we just go in. Really, with something like this, it's more like more time is spent just kind of setting things up, getting the post-it tape, you know, in place, yada yada. The actual like stenciling, etc. Quick and simple. Quick and simple. There we go. There we go. And really, in a lot of ways, the post-it tape isn't 100% necessary, especially if you're using smaller brushes. You just got to pay attention. But I don't pay attention. Even when I'm looking straight at it, my brain is like, I'm looking at the comments and, you know, talking, whatever. My hubby sometimes answers a call with sanitary electroshock. There's a lady on, I assume she's on TikTok, but I don't have TikTok. No. But her like reels have been put, you know, on Instagram, different places, and like same thing. She films herself with like the ridiculous ways she'll answer the phone when she's getting spam calls and telemarketer calls and stuff. Love them. Love them. Like sometimes highly inappropriate, and I love it. Yep. And again, the scammers deserve. Oh, see, already it's pretty. The scammers deserve it. They totally, totally deserve it. Okay. I took off a little bit of the post-it just so I can line these up with what was already on the inside. And I'll just try and be sort of careful here. So we'll just use what's left on my brush. Take the lid again and just kind of tap off so that I'm not going in full strength, you know? Like that. That'll work. And then we can add some of this color to the inside. And I'm also using like a lighter hand too. I'm not like roofing on my brush like I do normally to, you know, lay down as much color as possible. We can also add a little bit more because on the inside it's around the edge. There'll still be plenty of space. It's not gonna matter. Parents used to have a whistle that hung from the phone. Loving it. Loving it so much. So good. So good. And yes, it is something that everyone needs to educate their older family members, older friends, if people are just clueless, whatever, that, yeah, you didn't win a cruise. The Nigerian prince is not going to send you gold, whatever it is. I don't even know what the current scams are. There's always something. Oh, the other one, then that one really bothers me. That one where they call pretending to be like a grandkid or something, you know, and trying to like asking for like bail money, etc., etc. Those ones make me mad. They all make me mad, but those ones make me mad because they're, you know, trying to really push on emotions and not giving people time to think. So, yeah, explaining that too, and that really none of the kids would be calling the grandparents for bail money. Just say that. Like, they're never going to call asking for bail money. And if they do, don't give it to them, you know?
Go down and bail them out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just physically go down there, yada, yada. Yeah. You got to be proactive. It's just sad. Okay. First stencil. We're done. And then they do have them marked. Oh, yeah. They do have them marked on here in typical. There we go. So, yeah. They have numbers 1, 2, 3, 4. It's labeled. And then they have just like so many of the other ones. The etching detail, which makes it easier to line up. Like the etching detail for the leaves. It's like, it's pretty obvious with one like this, like where things are supposed to go. But it does help. And the biggest thing, regardless, with ones like this, it doesn't have to be perfect. But sometimes when, because again, if you're at all familiar with Altenew and some of the like layering stencils, especially like for the images, etc., etc., I always find look at more than one spot, because it's amazing how I'll be able to get a stencil and it looks like it's like lined up perfectly. But then I look at the whole thing as a whole and it's like, oh, I am way off, you know? Again, is it the end of the world? Most of the time, it doesn't matter, you know? But yeah. Crazy cat lady, that's hilarious. I'm not reading out your comment, but that is hilarious. Who's your grandma calling your dad? Love it. No notes. No notes. Okay. So for this one, let's do. Ooh, we could bring in the darker purple too. Yeah. Okay. We're gonna do the dreamy periwinkle for like the detail, but then we'll use. Ooh, we could even go darker on the little dot, and we'll get there. Let me one thing at a time. All right. Let's just start here, and so it won't matter if I go over the little dots, which things like this is kind of nice, especially for the people that, you know, are, as I like to call it, splatter curious, but don't want to actually do splatter or find it intimidating or whatever. It's like little stencils like this that have little like dots and things to kind of give the illusion of it. It's a way to get around it. Yeah, it's just kind of fun. But yeah, we can do that. And then, yeah, we'll go in with the darkest shade, which is the Twilight Sky, which means I need my darkest brush. Oh, there we go. And then that I'm going to use on these little dots, because that'll be nice. Doop, doop, doop. There we go. There we go. Fabulous. Oh, this is going to be fun. So we just go in, get where you need to go. Also not worried about perfection. I'm planning on adding my own splatter to this just because I can. We'll see. We will see. There we go. Yep. So then, love it. Love it. Okay. And the etching lines help when you're lining it up when there's like ink and it's harder to see. That helped. Okay. Go back with lighter shade. Don't get my things. And tap off on the lid. And just really light hand. Not really pressing too hard, so that I can get the detail, but it's not going to be like solid full strength. And then with the darkest shade, I'm not even going to touch I don't even need to touch ink because there's all this ink sitting on the stencil, so I can just go like this and just go over those spots, picking up any of that ink that was left on the stencil. Love it. So cute. It's so cute. Okay. So yeah, sometimes honestly, yeah, lining things up. The biggest thing is just having like 2 points of reference, regardless of the image, whether it's a frame or it's like whatever it is, you know, lining up your stencil. It's like, look at your kind of main spot and then look at another point. So you got like 2 points, because it's amazing sometimes how it's like, oh, it looks like it's lined up if I'm looking just here. And it's like, but I'll be like completely off kilter. And it's like, oh, shoot, you know? And that's why I like the little like etching details and all those sorts of things, because it helps. But again, quite often it's not the end of the world. It's just not. And other times it gets wrecked, but always remind yourself it's just paper. We're okay. You know. And I say that as someone who'll be like sitting here crying. Usually because that's like it's like 10:30 at night and I've got a deadline. I'm just like, no, I messed it up. I have to redo everything. Been there, done that. All the time. All the time. Okay. For this one, I'm gonna do you know what? I'm gonna use mossy granite for like the vein detail. No, olive grove. I like that color. I like all the colors, honestly. Let's be honest. And then for the flower centers, I think I'll still use. Let's use like the umber, like the really dark, like umber shadow. So, yeah, let's do that. Which also means again, I'll need. What did I use? I don't even remember what I used. I'll just use this brush. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Before cell phones, answering the phone was funny. It's truth. It's crazy when you think about it, though. It's like we used to use phones and like you just picked up and called. Just called blind. And someone would pick up. And then you would have to ask, like, you know, is so-and-so at home? And you'd have to talk to other people's parents. Weird. Now it's like I will go out of my way or I'll make the unpaid intern do the phone calls. Oh. Because I don't like it. I don't like it. Like, it's one thing if I'm calling someone I know, but even then I like text ahead of time now. And be like, hey, you know, are you available? Like, I don't actually like blind call anyone anymore. It's unless I'm calling to like make an appointment, like that sort of a thing where you have to call a business or a, you know, doctor's office. Even that, I'll always look and see, can I do this online? Because I would much rather just not, you know. So yeah, which is funny because I do like to talk. I just, yeah. Anxiety is a wonderful thing. Oh, this is gonna look super cute. Okay. Let's get this done because we got to do the paste and that's gonna take a little bit to dry. Here we go. Yeah, that's all the little doomahickeys. And then for this, for the flower centers, I'm just gonna use that. So just go in. And you could use like paste if you really wanted to on a layer like this. However, if you were gonna do that, you would just have to keep in mind that you would have to really let it sit and dry, because if you want to add like the sentiment's what I want to add the paste with. Okay, so those are the flower centers. Super simple. I just love it. Love it. I was young. Oh yeah, the party. We were talking about the party lines in one of my lives. I remember. Yep. My camera, I don't think picks up that noise. I've gone on about that during lives as well, thankfully, or my microphone doesn't pick up the neighborhood all-terrain vehicles that like to like run up and down the street. Anyway. Yeah, the party lines, and you could pick up the phone and listen in on like basically the neighborhood's conversations. And way back in the day, yeah, it's like my mom and her aunt used to do that all the time when they were kids. And I guess they were probably like giggling or something, but yeah, the neighbors picked up pretty quickly. It was those darn kids eavesdropping on the party line. And yeah, kids nowadays don't have a clue. Like rotary phones or any of that stuff. Goodness. We still should get our hands on a rotary phone just to show them.
Oh, sure.
Like how difficult life was, where you would have to dial. As it is, I forgot your number when I was picking up your prescription. Because they were looking to confirm, obviously, you know. And she looked at me and she's like, the phone number, and I rattled off mine, and she was like, that's the incorrect number. I'm like, crap, you need his. And I had to stand there. It took me a second, and I pulled out my phone because I was gonna pull it up but brain stopped, and then I remembered.
Fantastic time trying to get me to bail you out someday.
I told her that because she was laughing, and I was like, he told me I need to memorize his phone number because what am I going to do if I get arrested and I need to get bailed out and I can't remember his number and they won't give me my phone? Yeah. And then she thought it was hilarious, and she's like, you'll just be spending the night in the slammer. I'm like, I know. Anyway, okay. So there's the inside. The inside's done. Let's get this out of the way so I don't get anything else on it. Isn't that pretty? Just simple. Just soft, pretty. And again, you could add other things if this was like your card front. You could add other things, doesn't have to be specifically that, you know? So I was like, that's really just pretty. And then you could have like another panel or some little die cuts, whatever. But that's the inside of the card. So we'll come back to him. I need to put this somewhere where I'm going to forget about it. Whatever. So for this guy, though, what we're going to do is line them up using all the little etch lines like so. And then Shimmer Relief Base. This is what I was asking him to link to. I did a video when these were first released. Last year? Can't remember if it was last year or earlier this year. They've released more in the time since. But I did a video, kind of gave my first impressions, etc. So if he didn't post it in the chat yet, did you post that video? I'll put it also when this is over, I'll put it in the description box below the video, and I'll also link to it in like the end screen when the live is over. But they are beautiful. These were the original colors. So that's on white cardstock and black cardstock. And then they've released several colors since, and they are ridiculously gorgeous. Like, I pulled out, this is brown Moonstone. I thought that would just be really pretty for this. And cameras do not, I made a mess with this, do not do this stuff justice. Yeah, it's one of these, this is one of the types of products where you literally need to see it in person. It has the finest glitter, and any sort of paste. Let me like scrape all this on here. Can you go deal with the chaos, please? Any sort of paste, but especially the types of paste that have any sort of like glitter in them. I cannot recommend it enough to either use, just let me make sure I get it all off my hands, something like Press and Seal. This is my preferred. You can use just regular cling wrap. The bonus of the Press and Seal is because the nature of it seals up better. But I highly recommend with any paste, especially anything with glitter though. This one, the formula of this is different from a lot of other pastes I've used. It's not the same sort of formula. Like if you're familiar with like just straight up like glitter paste, those ones do dry out faster. Like full on glitter paste, you know, that are very glittery and very like almost chunky, that kind of stuff. Those do dry out. It's just the nature of the formula. So like everything, don't collect pastes. Do not hoard them. Use them. Use them. These are enormous jars, by the way. There's a lot of things you can do with them. There's a lot of videos out there. A lot of makers. I haven't done it yet, but some of the makers have been like taking the paste and applying it to like embossing folders. Literally, like just scraping it onto an embossing folder, letting it fully dry, and then peeling it out. Because with this, you can do that after it's dry, and then like cutting it down, and it's interesting. And then yeah, I've used it in a few different ways. And then, like I said, press and seal. Cannot recommend it enough. It comes in handy for all sorts of things. I did link to it. Simon Says Stamp does carry press seal because it is hard to find outside of North America. Those of us in North America, you can get this at the grocery store. Most grocery stores. Tim Holtz uses Tim uses rubber bands. That works for him. It also helps that his pastes are all the same size jar. You know, I did get some of those rubber bands. I don't like them. For me, I found it annoying to try and and for larger jars, you have to like really get it on there. The idea works great. I tried it though. It just didn't work. And it doesn't help that I have like many different pastes from many different brands. So all the jars are like different circumferences. So for me, it just didn't work. But yeah, it does work. But yeah, this has got, I can tell there's like an air bubble in this. Or is it just that full? Oh, no, there was. I was right. Okay, there was an air bubble. But yeah, that was my and it's the consistency of like a buttercream mayonnaise. It's about the consistency of mayonnaise. It's not super thin. It's not super thick. It's kind of just right. I'll just be like Goldilocks. This is just right. It's gorgeous. So, these are from around Broccoli. Yeah, the wide rubber bands can work 100% because the whole point, even when your lid is sealed, is once you've opened up a paste, air is immediately getting there. And even when the lid is all the way on, there can still be air getting in. So that's where press and seal comes in really handy. Or if you want to do the Tim Holtz method and put a rubber band around the jar where the seam is, the whole point, the whole concept is to remove air from getting in. That's it. That's it. Less air, longer paste lasts. So, yeah. But press and seal, and I'll show that in a sec once we actually use it. So we're just going to take it and apply it. And I'm trying to use sort of a lighter hand within reason because with something, since this specific stencil is words, I don't want to be like reefing on it and then like pressing the paste below the stencil. I'm not too worried. It shouldn't, again, perfection's overrated. But once I get it on, I can scrape off any excess like so. And then, yeah, get it back in the jar like that. I immediately wipe off my palette knife. Can some be reconstituted with distilled water if it's not too dried up? Some can. It depends on the formula. But the biggest thing, if a paste has started to harden, okay, first off, press and seal. I've done it both ways. It's up to the person. Like I've just stuck it like this and just sealed it down really well. Works. Another option is either with this or your regular like cling wrap, because it doesn't matter, is you can also press it in, just like how you do with baking to remove the air so that, a skin doesn't form. You can do this too. Like you just press it right down like that, put the lid on it, and then it's good to go. Like no biggie. And then the next time I go to use it, I just lift up like half, you know, like that, get into it, do my thing, yada, yada, yada. And then I just put it back. Like I've never had to replace like the press and seal, and I just leave it. And then it does make them last longer, especially against glitter paste. Glitter pastes are a little finicky. This is a different formula, and who knows? So far, no problems. I forget when the first ones came, when these first colors came out, when I got them. I don't think it's been a full year, maybe. Whenever it was. They're still good. But I do that. And then, of course, the reveal is always the best part. So I want to be careful that I don't smear this. Ugh. It wasn't perfect. I did ooze out a little bit. But you know what? It's fine. This I'm going to put in a dish of water, because you don't want to let it dry on your stencil. I need a bigger boat.
Well,
and then I will, yeah. And then I will forget that I put it in there, and then I'll be like, where'd that stencil go? But yeah, clean them off immediately, especially, again, this stuff I haven't had any issues with, but like glitter paste, if you leave it to dry on your stencils, it basically turns into cement. Not fun. Other pastes, your typical like texture paste, things like that, a lot of times you can throw in a dish of water and let it soak, and it'll like come off. But my just rule of thumb with stencils, if I've used any sort of paste, is I throw them in a dish of water, or I immediately take them to the sink and clean them off. It's just easier that way. So even though I made a little bit of a mess, I'm not too concerned. Yeah, I'm not worried about it. I'm not gonna muck with it. So I'm gonna let this dry. Boop. But yeah. And if I hadn't been such a hot mess flying by the seat of my pants, I could have done all this ahead of time and, like, you know, by the power of television, and pulled out like a finished one. Did I actually do that? No. No. But yeah. Still gorgeous. Don't care. And I wish... Yeah. Yeah. Again, this stuff is... It's just interesting. Like, it has the... Like, it's got, like, the finest bit of glitter in it. So you get the reveal, but it doesn't have that, like... It's very smooth. Like, there is no gritty texture to any of these. And yet, they've got that, like, glitter. Look. Does that make sense? It's just interesting. It's interesting. So, yeah, this one is, like I said, this is the brown. This is brown Moonstone. And I just thought it was pretty. So I need to set him aside so that we can do the little, like, background panel. Because, yeah. And then I didn't label any of these, but these were all, like I said, these were all the original colors. There was pearl. And, well, I've got a bit of time because this has to dry. These aren't all the colors. These are all the original colors. We've got Enchanted Gold. That'll be that one. Yeah, Enchanted Gold. Brushed Pyrite, which is a very... It's an interesting... It's not gold. It's not silver. It's just... It's different. And then this one is... I've used this one several times. This is the Smoky Quartz, which is, like, really dark. I love Smoky Quartz. Smoky Quartz. This one... This would be the brown Moonstone I use. This one, I think, is what they called... Oh, mine might... Oh, I wonder if mine are... I need to go through my labels, because I think one of mine might be mislabeled. This one's Burnished Platinum. Pretty sure. Then there's Rose Gold, which is lighter than the one I just used. So that's Brown Moonstone, which on my camera doesn't look like much. But Brown Moonstone's a little bit warmer and a little bit darker. And then the Rose Gold is like a lighter shade. And then there's the silver, antique silver, the pearl, which is just gorgeous. Then we've got brass, which is very much more like a brassy yellowy tone. And then, what was this one? Mayan gold, much warmer than the enchanted gold. Mayan gold's like a more deeper, like sort of orangey. And then this one was the sea berry. I showed that in like a video. And then I more recently got these two. Again, do you need this many pastes? No. Nobody step on that. I couldn't help it. They were pretty and I added them to my cart, okay? Amethyst. I was going to use, the amethyst would have looked pretty on this card front today, but I went with a brown moonstone instead, but it would have looked beautiful. And then this one is the Galactic Skies, which is ridiculous. Like it, no, you don't. You don't need this many pastes. Nobody does. But I see new colors and I'm just like, ooh, pretty. So yeah, I just keep them all in a little drawer and then seal them again with the press and seal. And they are good to go. But yeah, this one's on sale. That was also why I pulled it out, because I was like, ooh, it's on sale. Love that for me. So yeah, that was the brown moonstone that I used. There we go. I'll get back to that. So yeah, they're beautiful. I love them. Let's try something else. Okay. So, beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Beautiful. And then, what I wanted to do is I pulled out. Is anyone surprised? If you are, you shouldn't be. If you're new here, hi, I'm obsessed with Woodgrain, especially this Woodgrain press plate. It's amazing, and I've used it so many times in so many videos. So, yeah. Big ol' press plate, the Woodgrain. I have used it with the Better Press. I've hot foiled it. All of it. All of it. Love it. I love this press plate so much. This time I'm using it without the Better Press, just in my die cut machine. I want to just emboss this texture because it's beautiful. And that's why I cut the main little panel down so we can see. We're only going to see a little bit, but I don't care. I don't care. And I didn't cut down my cardstock. Do you store your paste right side up or upside down? I store these upside down just so I can see the color. It doesn't matter. Like, they're sealed, so it doesn't matter. Whatever floats your boat in terms of how you want to store things. A lot of my other pastes I store upright, or I store them on their sides even, just so I can see what. Yeah, I keep them in a drawer. And these ones I just keep upside down just because then I can see at a glance like what colors. And I'm like, ooh, grab whatever color. Because even if I put like, I could put a label or a little like swatch, that would work too, especially if someone lives maybe in a more humid climate and that's a concern about maybe it leaking. Again, this stuff is pretty not really liquidy, you know, but you could just put a little like swatch of the color, like just right on the label and put like what the name is. That would work too. But yeah, I just keep them stored like that. So yeah, again, do you need this many pastes? No, you don't. You really don't. But they're pretty. And I like them. And always remember, I do this as a job. So I have more than the average bear when it comes to pastes and accessories and frou-frous and all of that stuff. Okay, so we're gonna emboss this. So with the Anna Griffin Empress machine, any other die cut machine, most of them either come with an embossing mat or you can get one. But the vast majority of die cut machines have a mat and then have instructions on embossing with either stencils or using your wafer dies to emboss or You use basically the same setup to emboss with a press plate as you would with your wafer dies. You just have to remember that press plates are deeper than a wafer die. So you will get a deeper impression, but with this, that's what I want. That's what I want. So I've got my cutting plate, the die embossing, like the rubber mat. This is Neenah Desert Storm cardstock, my favorite, or one of my favorites. The plate, you could do either way, face up, face down. I don't think it matters. Like I could do the, I could set it up that way, or I could have set it up this way. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And then we just run it through. Okay. Do. Yeah. Yeah. An accident. Yeah. Okay. Whoop. Oh. Focus. Focus, camera. There we go. I love it. I love it so much. So yeah. And if you want, depending on the type of plate, wafer die, whatever it is you're using to emboss, depending on the type you're using and all the things, you can also lightly mist your cardstock with water. I would mist the back of it if I wanted to, just to get a bit of a deeper impression. However, I think this is more than good enough. It's just pretty. And again, we're not going to see a whole lot of it, but that's okay. I'm okay with that. I really am. So what I want to do is I'd cut it slightly bigger just to make sure that when I cut this down, because sometimes running things through with an embossing folder or impressing dies, plates, whatever you're doing, can sometimes make the cardstock panel shrink a little. Again, it just depends. So when I want my finished size to be a specific size, so in this case I want it to be A2 sized, I just cut it a bit bigger, emboss it or whatever, and then I can trim it down to exactly what I need it to be. This applies more with embossing folders more than anything else, because when you run something through with an embossing folder, the cardstock's getting, pressed up and down, and it will sort of shrink the finished piece. But yeah, this is gonna work. And then what we can do is we can actually take some of this paste. I was gonna use, I had a little, and I don't know where I put it. Where did I put it? I had a little blending foam, and he ran away. Because we can use that with this paste. Did you steal my blending foam? No, you didn't. It's right here. Never mind.
I did, but I put it back.
Yeah. I was using a blending foam. This is like old Tim Holtz. Any blending foam will work. You can even use like your fingers. And I'm just going to use it on the paste. I can like kind of go like this. And then I can use it to go direct to paper on this background. And it's just going to give it that extra bit. And if you apply it really thin like this, it dries very quickly. Also, again, depends on your climate, Me being in the garage in the winter, it's dry in here. Things dry very quick. And especially when we've got heaters going, stuff dries super quickly. But yeah, just a light hand. I just like tap it on any non-porous surface is going to work. Obviously my glasswork surface is perfect, but I would just use if you don't have like a glasswork surface, any non-porous little surface would work. And then just swirl it on. And I would use something like a little foam. You could even, and it doesn't have to be like this specific little like Tim Holtz one. Like you could, for something like this, you could literally use like those little like makeup applicators, sponges, anything. I'm not looking for like a soft blend or anything. I'm just applying it. It doesn't need to be perfect. I just want the color and the shimmer, you know? So it's just gonna give it that little extra something with very little effort, you know? And then if you do this over something that you've run through with an embossing folder, so there's much more defined, like a much more defined pattern, this can really pick up on that. And it just looks amazing. Just amazing. And since the center is irrelevant because it's going to get covered up by the actual panel. Aren't those pretty? And then, yeah, it's just going to frame it up just a little bit. And then the minute I'm done is I can, again, just kind of squeeze out whatever was left on there like that. And then I can do. Oh, they're similar in consistency to Lunar Paste, but they're different in the the finish. But in consistency, they're similar. But yeah, these have more of like a shimmery sparkle to them that the amount of lights I have don't do justice to it. It's, yeah. When Altenew, like was coming out with these, I was just like, oh, like a shimmery paste, whatever, you know, because I saw they sent images and I was just like, okay. It was another one of those things where it's like seeing it in person. I was like, oh, I see what you're doing. Okay, and then this, you just clean up with water, and I even can, for the most part, clean up the foam. I'm making a big old mess, but that's fine. This is gonna get weird out. I just mush, and not actually. Again, my camera's not picking up, but this is all like sparkly. It's so pretty. It's so pretty. But if I clean it out enough, I keep the foam dedicated to these pastes, but I can clean it out enough that I can reuse it over and over and over again. So that I'm not wasting them, because I don't like doing that if I don't have to. But I can wipe it all up like that, cleans up with water, and then I just keep sort of mushing out as much as possible. But there will be some like residue, a little bit of the shimmery bits. That's fine, because again, I just keep it for the paste. Like, I wouldn't put this in an ink pad after this. But yeah, I just kind of mush it in water like that. That's literally all I do. We'll just sit there and play with it like a little mud pie. Whatever, you know, I don't care. And then I can let this dry, and yeah, I'll reuse him over and over and over again. As long as you clean it up, don't let the paste like fully solid dry, because if it dries in this, I don't think it's salvageable after that. But yeah, so now he's good. Take those small eyeshadow brushes at the bottom. Yeah, you could use like those, any little foam sort of applicator works for something like this. It doesn't need to be a specific, you know, these all have their place. Foam blenders, blending brushes, etc., you know. Those blending brushes, love them. Love them so much. But with something like this, I wouldn't use a brush for one, because the blending brushes are much more expensive. But for something like this, you just don't need a specialty, you know, ink blending foam. Anything is going to work, because you just need to get it on there, you know. And like, you could use your fingers. I just don't like doing that if I can avoid it, because it bugs me. But you could totally just do with your fingers. You would just need to kind of do the same thing and like kind of tap off, so you don't have like big globs of it, and then just, it would work. It would work. I would do it if I was doing like just a little strip, because you could also apply this type of stuff to like just, you know, a piece of cardstock and have it as like a, you know, so you have a decorative strip, because, you know, specialty cardstocks can start getting pricey. So it's like something like this, you could take a little strip, apply it, let it dry, and then, you know, adhere it do like this. Have a frame for your panel, and then just add. It doesn't have to be embossed, anything like that. You could add some paste to it, make it look all metallic, pretty, glittery, whatever. Let it dry, adhere your pieces together, you're good to go. To keep it, oh no, I'll use this with any of the colors. Once it's like cleaned out like this, I'll use it with any of the, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I'll use the same one. In fact, I'm going to put this in the same like drawer where I'm keeping all these pastes, and I'll just reuse it with whatever color next time, clean it off in the same way, and over and over and over again. The only reason I'll ever grab a new one is if I once I completely wreck it, which is going to take me a while, or it'll happen tomorrow. Is what it is. But yeah, little makeup, those little makeup wedges, and well, now there's so many blending foams available. You can get them at the dollar store, whatever. Those would work fine too. And you could do the same thing, wash them as soon as you're done, like clean it off and then reuse them. Because yeah, it just, and you can see that texture. I love that wood grain. I love it so much. Okay, so this guy needs to dry. He's gonna need to dry. So, you know what we can do? I might be able to make a second card using a different stencil set. I had planned this and then I didn't even link to it. Where did I put it? I had it here. Give me 1 second. Just here. Let's stare at that so my camera doesn't go nuts. You'll have to add this once I find it. This one. Actually, I will do this. Let's do, I want to stencil this background because it's gorgeous. This is the Flourishing Vines stencil. Let me add it to my supplies because I didn't do this. Bookmark all it. Doop, doop, doop. It'll be added at the end when you refresh.
Yep.
Copy image address. There we go. Okay. So we can do a quick little background with that guy too. Why not? Since we have to wait for the paste to dry, because like I said, I didn't plan ahead of time because I'm a professional and I know what I'm doing. Again, are we surprised? So we'll let him dry. And while he's drying, we could just stencil this on a background. This one's a big one. This set has 3, 4, 5, 6 stencils. Amazing. Love it. Oh, this one just, yes. Okay. We can do, ooh. I could do the card front card. Let's just have fun with it. I'm not aiming for a finished card with this, but we can just blend the colors onto a card base and just see what happens. Let's just see what happens. You know, whatever. Whatever. So, yeah. In true Altenew form. I didn't even show that with the other one. All the, like, instructions, all the destructions are there to even give to, like, using different colors. Which we can totes do. Why not? Why not? Let me set this, though. Let me set this where I'm not going to knock it over. Let that dry. And then this guy, I need my trusty piece of tape. So there's another just A2 card base. And then all we got to do is that. Just line them up. We can use these greens. So we use this quad. And then I just need I need a second quad to have that differentiation with the green. let's do this one. These ones are beautiful. They're all beautiful. They're all beautiful and unique. This is the Jade Dreams palette. Well, let's just have fun with it, okay? Let's just have fun with all of the colors. Because we can. Because we can, you know? So, let's just blend this Silver Sprout. So we'll just blend this guy right onto our card base. So this is the lightest shade of this quad. And if I grabbed a larger blending brush, this would go a lot faster. But you know what? We'll get there. It'll be fine. Everything's fine. We'll do this one. I know. I love the Altenew inks too. They have a ridiculous amount of inks in terms of like how many colors. But I love it. I love it. I love having the options, honestly. We'll do this guy. Like, they're just beautiful. And especially these more muted colors. I'm a fan, even though that's not my forte. I like the bright, vibrant, you know, pinks and purples and like aqua colors. But these all have their place and they're pretty. So yeah, we could do Silver Sprout. That was the lightest color. And then Pistachio. So I can just use the same brush. We'll use on these guys. And this one's got much more of the yellow-green undertone to it. And a stencil set like this, you don't have to be super particular, in my opinion, with making sure everything's perfect. It's like it's greenery. When you're dealing with like leaves, whether it's die cut, stamps, stencils, whatever, if it's just a bunch of greenery, it doesn't matter if one color kind of bleeds into the next or if they mix together or anything, because just is what it is. So there we go. First stencil. And yeah, normally I'd probably like maybe flip this to the inside as well, but we're just doing this for a bit while I let that paste dry a bit more. So this is just like for funsies. So that was one. This one is the second one. So this guy lines up with all the little etch lines. Oh yeah. Yep. So do that. And then we can start going into some darker shades. So I'll do the Sage Stone for this. So go in with that. And we can do it here. Yes. Again, I'm not too what do we do while waiting for the paste to dry more? Oh, 100%. It's better than that than you guys just having to stare at my dumb face the entire time, while we wait for paste to dry. Like, let's just play with ink and stencils. There we go. So this guy, yeah, we'll do him the same color. Same with these ones. Just go in there like that. Lovely. Lovely. And then this little guy we will do with the other quads. This is Misty Sage. Let's use this brush for it. and this directly applies, I talk about this a lot when you're doing like greenery, leaves, whether it's die cuts, stamps, etc., etc., etc. When there is a variety, you want a variety of greens. It doesn't have to necessarily be like 200 different colors, but variety. Because greens, depending on the plant, you know, they appear different in nature. They're not all the same shades. And you want that visual interest. Got that. Ooh, and then this guy. Oh, this is gonna be fun. Line him up using the etch lines like so. There we go. And then this guy we could use, let's do the Olive Grove on this one. I should get all the Altenew inks. Well, thankfully, you know, Altenew's not going anywhere. Need my darker brush. There we go. That's what I want. Yeah. Altenew's not going anywhere. They do sales always. You know, pay attention. We'll see. I don't know exactly what's going on because, like, I have to like deal with my emails. It's bad, but I have noticed that they will do some really good sales, and sometimes that will like either just their inks or they will have some of the different collections of inks and reinkers, etc., like on a really good deal. That's how I was able to get a bunch of the like reinkers and stuff. I was like, they had a really good sale not too long ago when I was like, add to cart. So yeah, ain't nothing wrong with waiting for a good sale. I do it all the time, especially when things like inks. Again, do you need all the colors? No, you don't need, and multiple, you know, multiple full sets of inks from multiple brands, yada yada. No, you know, you don't have to do that. No one needs all that stuff. Again, I do this as a job. A lot of product gets sent to me, which is awesome, and I very much appreciate it. But I also have issues with full set syndrome. And when it comes to things like inks and pastes and just all of it, I like having all the colors. Just is what it is, you know? But yes, Altenew has, from what I've observed, okay, this one, where's my perfect pecker? There he is. I need, this little tip I picked up from Kathy Zielski is when there's a little like spot, I'm not too concerned, it doesn't need to be perfect, but holding it down, you can always use something like pixie spray, but I haven't pulled out my pixie spray in forever. So just holding it down. Usually I do it with my finger, but that just gets in the way. So this works. Anyway, Altenew has the most colors. I don't think there's anyone that comes even close to the line of Altenew inks. It's insane. And I love it. But yes. And they do come in cubes. Just, you know, because that is always, that used to be, I used to do cubes because I didn't have the budget or the space for full-size ink pads. And there ain't nothing wrong with cubes. The only thing you need to remember with cubes is you will need to get reinkers sooner rather than later, especially if they're your dedicated like inks, because cubes are small, you know, they don't hold as much, but it is a way more affordable way to get more colors. So if I was not doing this as a job and being the person I am and wanting all the colors, I would almost for sure like get the cubes. Because then I could have all, you know, more colors, less space, less money, etc., etc., etc. You know what I mean. But I do need all the Altenew things. I know. I'm just saying. You know, I'm trying not to like, you know, oh my god, like you can't be a real card maker unless you have every single ink and every single this and every single that. But you know, it just is. But yeah, the inks are beautiful. The colors are beautiful. I love them. I love them so much. Whatever. Again, this doesn't need to be perfect. I'm just having fun, and I love it. I love it. It's beautiful already. We're not even done. We're not even done yet. Okay. Did that one. And then I've been buying, oh, I missed something. The distress, yeah, the distress and oxides, the distress inks, I started with the cubes because when those for a long time, like many years ago, I didn't understand like how distress inks work. And then once I realized like, you know, what they were good for, and it was when Tim was releasing the first batch of newer colors. So many years ago, like a decade ago, however long ago it was, you know? And I got the cubes because at the time I could not afford the full size ink pads, you know, and there was a lot. I forget exactly how many. There was at least, I think, the 48. There's at least 36. I think there was 36 colors, and then he was adding that first dozen something. I forget. That was so many years ago. But I got the cubes because I could not afford all of those ink pads. And then over the years, I started getting the full, because I was using them so much. I started getting the full sizing pads, but same thing. I just got, you know, a couple at a time in my favorite colors that I use the most, picked raspberry, etc., and just slowly like built it up. And I still use my cubes. Like, love them. Exactly what Lynn said. You know, you start with the cubes, and then if you find that you're always reaching for a certain color, like you're using it all the time, and then it's like, you know, but yeah, yeah. The only thing you just gotta remember with cubes is they are smaller than a full sizing pad, so there's not as much ink in them. And you're just making a big old. Are you having chips?
Yeah. I ended one of the tiny chip bags.
You dove through their Halloween candy.
Just one.
You're funny. Okay, but yeah, cubes hold. In the terms of these, like about a quarter to a fifth of the surface area, and so that much ink. So that is also just something to keep in mind. Yeah. But again, there's sales and all the things. I haven't yet needed to re-ink any of my full size, but I have all the colors. I have multiple brands of inks, and I'm all over the place. If these were the only inks I had, there would probably be a few that I would need to re-ink by this point, but because, you know, now we're doing like blending, and I ink smush and I watercolor with my inks, and I use them a lot. But yeah, depending on what you do and how you create as well, that plays in all of this. I need a different green brush. We'll use this one. So hopefully that makes sense. And then yeah, because now with the formulas we have and like layering stencils, and especially specifically with Altenew, how we've got like the stamp images and almost all of them have layering stencils now, which is really fun. I never thought I would like this sort of a thing. I've kind of talked about that before, like not ones necessarily like this, but the stencils meant for the stamped images, like all the like Build a Garden, etc. Love. Because I always color. I like to color with my markers, watercolor, etc. And I was just like, really, you know? But with the inks we have, like these types of formulas, and how they soften and they dry back and blend so easily, I do love stenciling with the inks and all the brushes we have. So we didn't have the brushes. We used to have just foam. The previous ink formulas weren't the same. They were more of a hybrid formula, and they just like stayed in place. They weren't water reactive. They didn't soften and dry back and smooth out and anything like that. So yeah, the inks have changed, and now it's one of my favorite things to do. Okay, so that was Mossy Meadow. And then for that guy, I'm going to just go back to the Sage Stone just because I can. I have the original Altenew inks in the oval-shaped ink pads. Okay, this I have the original Altenew inks in the oval-shaped ink pads. Really want the new round ones, but I can't decide if there's really a need. I have several other companies' full collections of ink pads. Not sure if there's that much of a difference in the ink itself just by purchasing a whole new set. You do not need to. Their Altenew's previous ink line, the Crisp, they were called the Crisp dye inks. I don't have them. And I wasn't familiar with them before they released these. And even when they came out with these, at first I was just like, really? Round ink pads? What are you doing? And then once I got some, and I was just like, oh, I like these. You can use the re-inkers, the fresh dye, because that's what these are, fresh dye ink. You can use these re-inkers in the Crisp dye ink pads. But if you have the old re-inkers, the Crisp dye re-inkers, do not use those in these. Because they are a different formula, but this works in those, if that makes sense. Because there's a lot of colors. They kept the same names that were from the previous line, and then they've just added and, done what they do. So there is no need to switch over fully, especially if you've got a bunch of them. Keep using them. And then if you use it up, you can just use a re-inker and it'll work fine. I know the formula is different, and I think I'm pretty familiar with the old formula from Altenew because I had ink pads from a different brand many, many years ago that was very similar. So it's not the same formula. It doesn't soften as much and blend as easily, but I think with, all the little tools and things we have now, the blending tools and all of that, I don't think it would really matter. Like, there's no need to get rid of all of those and, get all new ones, especially, yes, if you have a bunch of them. So, yeah. But yeah, you can use these re-inkers, the fresh dye ink, in the Crisp ink pads, but the Crisp re-inkers cannot be used on these because it's not the same formula. But this one is more water reactive and can just go. And yes, that was the other thing with these, because I was just like, what am I going to do with them? Like, how are people storing these? I didn't get it. And then I was talking to Bridget at Altenew a couple years ago, whenever it was. And because I told her, I was like, I don't get this. Like, what is this? And then the labels on the side was huge. These are separate, by the way, the labels. They come in little packs. But I label the sides like that. These fit in the same, any storage solution that will fit distress ink pads or distress oxides, these fit in that. So hopefully that makes sense. We do not need all the things, but we got options. And I have the full set. Yeah. Yeah. I have used Altenew's products for many years. I've purchased their stamp sets and different things, a lot of our glitter papers way before I ever started working with them. But I didn't get into their inks because, again, for a lot of years I could not. I was a single mom with all my kids, and it was not in my budget. And it was so overwhelming because they had so many colors. And then they decided to do completely redo their entire ink formulation and line and all of this stuff. And I was just like, oh, that's interesting. And then I got invited to teach for them, and I was just like, cool. And then it just snowballed from there. And now I'm like, all the inks, all the things. It is what it is. Hate the labels are separate. The reason they're separate is because it would add a significant chunk to the cost. I know, and I say, but it is true when it comes to manufacturing and stuff. With the exception of one brand, labels for ink pads is a separate thing. You either need to make your own, or they are a separate, on a separate sheet, and then you have to apply them. So I just make a point of like, I get the labels, and I will order the ones if I'm missing any, and I will just sit and like apply them because because mine are all in a like carousel, but I'm a visual person. But I know a lot of people too have even just done like sticky, like almost like label paper, with the stick on it, and like swipe the ink onto that and then just glued it. And I would have done that too if I didn't have the labels, just so I have that visual, you know? So yeah, it's a manufacturing nightmare. It is. So the top and bottom, these are like printed, and then the bottom one is stuck on and then it's sealed up. But yeah. Yeah. Okay. Let's finish the stenciling on these guys. And then I can finish the actual card I was meant to finish, because this is just bonus for funsies, because it's, well, fabulous. Really. Really. Okay, this guy will do the darkest shade. Yeah, we'll go in with like mossy. No, I want to do green opal. I want to do green opal with this one, because this color is fabulous. So, let me grab my dark green brush. Are you saying the old crisp dye ink should have separate brushes? That question, I'm not sure. That one I would ask Altenew. If you actually need separate brushes, if you have the crisp dye inks and the fresh dye inks, I'm honestly not sure. It's like, because the crisp dye inks are not like, they're not a pigment ink. When it comes to things like pigment ink and dye ink, I do recommend separate brushes, because when you use a brush in a pigment ink, so a distress oxide, because oxides have pigments, or an actual pigment ink, you don't want to use that same brush then in a dye ink, because the pigments in the bristles can start transferring to your ink pad, and over time you can wreck your ink pad. Now, I've heard a lot of people have said they don't care. They have one set of brushes and they just wipe it off on a cloth in between, and that's what they do. And if it works for them, fine. I'm not the crafting police. The only reason I say that though is I don't want, it's like, you do what you want with your supplies. Whatever floats your boat. I'm going to say what the manufacturer recommends and what I understand about, the science of it all, yada yada. But when it comes to something like the crisp dye ink and this, like, yes, they're different ink format, I'm not sure if you would necessarily need. If it was me, I probably wouldn't get a whole other set of brushes, because again, brushes can start getting pricey. They can. I would probably just, if this was a brush that I always use with my crisp dye inks, I would probably just rub it off on my cloth and then go on. And I wouldn't really worry about it, because the formula isn't, I don't think, like that massively different. But things like the pigment inks, I have separate brushes. I have a separate set of brushes for my oxides. And then actual pigment inks, like gold metallics and white pigment inks, I actually use foams for those, because the pigments are bigger than the little molecules for dye inks, and foams work better. But yeah, hopefully that makes sense. But I would ask Altenew that, and what their opinion is. But I would almost kind of think it would, in theory, be fine. Like, it should be fine if you were using a crisp dye ink with your brush, and then if you wanted to switch to a different, like a fresh dye ink or just any dye ink, I would just rub it off on a cloth and go on about my business and not worry about it. Like, that's how I would deal with it. But I don't have any to compare. I was introduced to the Altenew Educator Program because of me. Well, that's awesome. Yeah. Yeah, Altenew's got all kinds of programs. Like, not only just the retreats and the classes, and then yeah, they've got like educator like there's a lot of there's a lot. There's a lot. Like, there's a lot of resources and options and just education and all of it. All of it. it's pretty cool, you know? Okay, did that. Get that detail in there. It's also my first class. We taught your first class. That's, yeah. That cozy comfort retreat it was a lot of fun. Y'all, I nearly threw up before it started. I almost had a panic attack. It's a very different dynamic for me, like me, the maker. Cause like, I'm just talking to my camera. I'm just looking at this weird little like fisheye lens basically. And then your guys' comments are appearing on my screen, you know, in front of me. But you know, I can like kind of disassociate in a way. But with a setup like that, you know, it was all done on Zoom, and it's like you can physically see because everyone that chose to have their cameras on, so you can physically see the people. And I have very severe social anxiety, and I call her the other Amy. Those that are familiar with Altenew, she does a lot of lives and different things and works a lot like with Altenew, so I just call her the other Amy to it's like because there's more than one of us. Um, she was the moderator for my class, and she talked me off the off the edge before we started, and like had me basically breathing into a bag. She was like, "Just breathe with me." I'm like, and then I was fine. I was fine. She was awesome. She saved me seriously because I was ready to have a meltdown. And it was fun. And yeah. After it was all over, and I had a load of fun, and I was like, I'll do it again if you guys ever want to ask me. So, yeah, it was. Oh, look at this! Look at it! Look at it! You know. And then we could technically is my the paste. Well, let's just do the background just because I want to. Because now I'm committed now. You know. I have an absolute disaster going on, and I don't really care. I got hair everywhere as well. Okay. This guy. Just kind of line them up the best of my ability, because I didn't line up everything else like super well, but who cares? Who cares? And I'm just going to use. You know what? Ooh, let's use this one, the ginger root, because this is a really pretty color. Well, thank y'all. Those that took the class. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. It's a lot. Yeah. It's different than doing what I do. You know, sort of the same, but also just different. And it's also the stress too of like the stress for me when it's professional. You know, it's like people pay for this retreat. They paid to attend, and it is professional and behind the brand and all the things. And I was just like, don't say the F word. Yep. Okay. So I grabbed a little bigger brush just to finish this background. And most of this is like pretty connected. Like quite well. This was really well thought out. This is why other people design this kind of stuff and not me, because I wouldn't be able to figure out these kinds of things on my own. Okay. Have it though still to like press down these areas, even though I don't really need to. But I just want to see how this is going to look with the background blended. But obviously you could just leave this off if you wanted to, and that would look amazing too. The class and I signed up. Well, thank you, Lynette. It was fun. It was really fun. And it was a neat experience too, being able to see in real time, you know, people holding up their cards, like as soon as, you know, the class was over, and then they have like a separate, and I know a lot of brands do this with their different retreats. Like they have a, like dedicated Facebook group, like just for the retreat, et cetera, et cetera. And being able to see people like post their makes from the class, that was really fun to see as well. It just, yeah, the community of it all. It was a really fun experience. Stay tuned. That's all I'm saying. Just stay tuned. I'll announce when there's things to announce. But anyway, there. I'm not gonna go overboard on that. We're just gonna. Oh, I love it. Ooh, get you. There you go. Look at that. How, like, zero effort, you know? Like, I'm doing this just by the seat of my pants, grabbing colors at random, whatever, don't care. And, yeah. Like, all I'm gonna have to do is I could just, I'll add splatter, obviously. I'll add some splatter, a die cut sentiment, and then I might even just take either, because I could either do the stencil the same way. With something like this, I probably wouldn't, but maybe I'll take a portion of it and either stencil, or I'll just stamp a sentiment on the inside and be done with it, you know? And yeah, like some gold splatter. That would look amazing. And then like a gold sentiment. If I get it done, and I'll just like post it on my social media or something, like on my Facebook page, because I like this stencil. Ooh, this one would look pretty too if you did some of them with pink, because you know there's those types of monster. I don't know the types of plants. I have a bunch of house plants. Couldn't tell you what 99% of them are. I know what a snake plant is, and I think I own a monster. Well, we have a monster in the dining room, but it's not mine. I don't know the names of plants, but there's the kind that have the pink in the leaves. Beautiful, beautiful. But yeah, a little bit of splatter, a die cut sentiment, maybe some little enamel dots. Yeah, simple. Simple. Love it. And I've got a literal disaster going on here. Whatever. Anyway, okay. Back to what we were. This is mostly dry. It's not fully dry. And I can tell because right here, it's still a little bit bowed and it feels cold. And that it's not fully dry, but it is mostly dry, which isn't bad. I'm not sure how long I was letting this sit, but like half an hour, whatever. Again, that will always depend too on your climate, how thick you apply it, etc. You know, but this is at least dry enough that as long as I'm careful, it'll be fine. We'll survive. So what I'll do is we can glue the card front to the card base once I some monsters do have some. Yeah, there's like so many like varieties now, you know? And again, with any of it, but with stuff like this, like you can do whatever you want. Like it doesn't have to be accurate. You could do these in purples. Green, like make it like could do totally crazy colors and then do the background in like black. That would look so fun. Like just make it your own. Do whatever you want, you know? It's paper. It's paper. Have fun with it. It's half the fun. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, doing some with a little bit of pink would look really pretty. It just would. But all the options. All the options. Can't go wrong. They're super fun. Heat saying I would not. Where's one? I wouldn't heat set majority of paste. There's a couple out there that I think are kind of okay. The most I do, especially if I'm running on time, is if I'm gonna like try to speed it up, is I would use my heat tool, but I keep it really far from the project and I like go like this, you know? So it's like I'm not trying to, because if I went like this with my heat tool on, this would start to like bubble and probably burn. But when I want to speed it up, I let it sit for a bit and then I'll just kind of go like this from a distance, and just the warmth, you know, the warmth and the air moving will dry it faster. So if you are in a hurry, you can do that. Just don't aim your heat tool, you know, like that. You'll see it. It'll bubble really quickly because this is meant to like fry things. So it is an option. I just would keep the heat tool further away, or a hair dryer. I did a video on that a million years ago, like drying back before we had like all the things we have now, but it was stickles, like drying it faster. And I did a little like quick video using my hair dryer. Same thing, same concept. So you can use your hair dryer and just I would let it sit for a little bit, not when it's like wet because you don't want it to like smear, get your finger on it. But you could hold it, use your hair dryer, especially on if you have one that has a lower air setting, because hair dryers, you know, are blasting a bunch of air. You use a lower setting, and if your hair dryer has a lower heat setting, you could do that too, and that would also speed it up. So hold it further and just I have done that because I'm last minute with everything, you know. But yeah, you just don't want with paste. You don't want to get too close and too hot because they'll bubble, and it's just not pretty. Unless that's the look you're going for. Because sometimes, especially if it was like a Halloween card, you know, bubble it up and make it look all like textured and weird. Could totally work. And now some of y'all are going on about plants. Don't even ask me. I don't even know, you guys. I don't know. I don't know. I like plants. As long as they can, you know, if they can survive me, that's all that matters. And yeah, this is dry because I applied, you know, so thin. This dries quick. When you apply paste like this, especially these shimmer relief pastes, it's quick and easy, and we're good to go. So I can adhere my background, no problem. And yes, this would look cute. I could have some die cut little mushrooms. You guys are the worst. I'm all over the place. This is why I always say I'm like the dog from Up. It's just I'll be, you know, on something and then squirrel. Again, my ADHD meds probably need to increase that dose until we get it all figured out. So much fun. So this is going to cover my card base. And we're only going to see that little bit of it, which is fine. This is why I did liquid glue, so I've got some wiggle room to line everything up. Yep. There we go. Diefenbach is your green with white mixes. Cool. I don't know. I kept all the little like tags that came with my little house plants because most of them I got at Costco because that is my personal thing. I was like, if it can survive in a Costco warehouse, it should be able to survive me. And for the most part, my little Costco houseplants have done just fine. I avoid the fancy greenhouse ones for the most part because one, a lot of them, especially nowadays, because houseplants have become so trendy, the prices are insane. Nope. Okay, so we did that. Yeah, this guy's dry enough that I can pop him on with some foam tape, which we will use the Big Mama foam tape for this. And then that will give a little extra dimension. So we can pop this guy up like so. I'm glad you guys enjoy it. This live, which applies to so many of my lives, is a little bit chaotic, but when is it not? Really? When is it not? Okay. And then dupe. There we go. Got that. And that. And I was just trying. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's fine. It's fine. Okay. And yes, I haven't forgotten. I still plan on adding just a smidge of splatter. I managed to get like hair. Well, it doesn't matter. No one's going to see it. It doesn't matter. Okay, make sure the card is upright. And then we center like that. There we go. Love it. And then because I like to freak people out, we're going to add a little bit of black splatter. Because why not? Just a little bit. Not a lot. Just a smidge. So where's my little palette? And for that, we'll use the black gouache, which, as I always say, this stuff is very potent, extremely pigmented, and stains everything. So just be aware. And then, because it's gouache though, it does clean up with water, but it does stain. Like my little palette is stained from this gouache. So I just put a little bit on the palette, add a little bit of water to thin it out. And then, there we go. There we go. And I'm going to add just a bit. I'm not going to add a ton. Just a smidge. Just a bit here and there to give it that little extra something. Good enough. And then clean it up. Because you can technically, especially with gouache, like I said, it cleans up with water, so you can let it dry and come back and like reactivate it. However, I don't like doing that, especially with something like this, because let me wipe off my brush here. When it's on a palette like this and I've added water to it, it's very, there you can kind of see that. There you go. It's very thin, you know, because it's been watered down. So then when it dries, if I just leave it to dry on here, it will start to like curl and it gets almost like flaky because it's plastic. It just is what it is. And again, I could let it fully dry. I could reactivate it with water, but it's already been watered down once. And then if I water it down again, it's getting thinner and thinner and thinner. And it's just not worth the aggravation. So I just clean it up. This isn't very, like, it looks like a lot, but it's hardly anything. And I also, and because it flakes up, like I did that once and it was like flaking up and then the flakes, you know, and it's pigmented or getting everywhere and I don't want to get it on my clothes, you know. So wipe it up and we're good to go. So. Yeah, gold would look nice. Heck, I showed it, I think, in the video that the unpaid intern linked to. I know I did it, but I have actually splattered with the relief paste as well. You can. I put it and then I watered it down just a little bit, just to, because, you know, it's like I showed, it's a little goopy. But I put it and I was able to water it down a bit and I splattered. I've splattered with this. I need to do it more often because it's fun. It's fun. So I could have splattered with this as well, but we got it on here. We got it on the background. And I just wanted the little black speckly bits just to give it that little extra something. But yeah, options. And then last but certainly not least, we'll add some coordinating little enamel dots that coordinate with those purples. Because again, Altenew and all their coordinated things, it's kind of nice. And while I add some little enamel doohickeys, and most of the splatters are already dry because I didn't add like gloves with it, but while I'm adding some little enamel bits, the unpaid intern can pick a winner. Yeah, you can make yourself useful. So we'll add a few little bits here. Tuck one under there, just like so. And then we'll grab a lighter one, and these are all self-adhesive, so you just peel and stick. So we'll stick one like right there. Just like that. And then take that one, put them right there. And then we can tuck in just a couple more here, like so. Push them under there. There we go. The camera there. And then grab that one. Yep. And we'll do... No, I already did that color. We'll do the lightest shade for this little guy. Just like get where you belong. There you go. Just to give him that little extra something. I have such a... Oh my goodness, my desk is a disaster. But yeah, that, let me zoom in, is the finished card. Yeah. Oof. It's hard to... Away there, so you can kind of see, and it's not like the way my camera is picking up, like it looks textured because I'm trying, because like once the light really shines on it, it looks textured, but it's not. Like it is very smooth, but the way it's picking it up, that texture is actually like the shimmery, like, because again, it's like an ultra fine like glitter. It is, yeah, the shimmer relief pastes are super pretty. Like, and then yeah, that wood grain embossing or wood grain press plate like embossed is beautiful. I love it. I love it so much. You can't go wrong with a good wood grain though. Like it's just a good generic pattern, and that's why I love it, because it just goes with everything. It goes with everything, you know? But yeah, you got all that shine, and then the inside, you know. And if I wanted, I could stamp a sentiment too, but I just thought we would leave him as it. And see, I managed to get splatter on the inside. It has a mind of its own. How it got there, I don't know. I don't know. Whatever. You know? Again, it just does what it wants to do. But yeah, it looks textured just on camera. It's weird. This stuff is hard to take photos of, and it's hard to show in video, because in real life it's just shiny, and it's not sparkly. You know, it's not like a regular sparkly paste. It is very different than all the other pastes, you know. And I've got metallic paste, I've got glitter paste, you know, but this is, yeah, I don't know what kind of black magic they did with this stuff, but it's just really pretty. I need to make a habit of like showing it more in videos and using it more, because every time I pull it out, I'm just like, oh my gosh, I love it. I need a bigger boat. I need more hours in the day. Yada yada yada. Same. I go on about that enough. Anyway, let's go boop like that, and then I managed goo rolls over here. Well, I did. I made a little bit of a mess there, but we're just going with it. That was on me because I applied it a little. You know, I was pressing too hard with the palette knife, and I oozed it under the stencil right there. But it is what it is. I'm not. It's handmade, man. It is what it is. Anyway, let me. There we go. There we go. You has a winner?
I have a winner.
Okay. Who am I sending this to?
The winner today is Colleen in Tennessee.
Colleen in Tennessee.
Yep.
Awesome. I still have to mail out last week's winners. And then this one. Hopefully. Did you just get a spam call?
Yes, it said Laura Secord on my phone.
Maybe they were going to send us a fortune's worth of chocolate.
No, there was definitely a Canada Post.
Come on, man. We could have just had a great time.
We could have.
You know?
But it was a robot.
But it was that is the crappy thing now, that it's most of the time spam calls. It's not, ooh, I shouldn't have done that. I'm wearing mascara. Good job. I always forget that. We're okay. Yeah. They're like robots, which is so even more annoying. The minute I hear a robot voice, I just hang up too, because I'm not going to sit here and argue with a robot. I'm crazy enough. Anyway, I will be mailing out hopefully this week. Has there been any? It was a tentative agreement, right?
Yes,
it's not.
tentative. They had to vote on it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Canada Post is still on strike. They've been rotating, so they're sort of working, but everything's delayed. I mailed out like all the previous winners a couple weeks ago now.
Yeah.
I think it was a couple weeks ago.
A lot of people in the chat today were saying that they got the cards sent out.
Good. That makes me happy. Because some of y'all, who knows when those will arrive, because there was a few international, a bunch of them went to the States, of course, etc. So no idea. It's like that anyway, because like, I'm in Canada. It's very, very big country land wise, small population. Things just take longer. So I do plan on sending these out soon-ish.
Should give my
thank you to the disembodied hand. I'm still gonna be mad at you though. Like, we probably were getting like, it was probably a call to give us a lifetime supply of chocolate.
It definitely wasn't that.
But I want a lifetime supply of chocolate.
Well, the best thing that you can do is win one then.
I know, right? Even though I don't think Laura Secord makes good chocolate anymore.
They don't really.
They used
Their
to.
ice cream used to be really good when I was a kid.
It wasn't their brand.
Do you know
they're good? Yes, it was made. I think it was actually made by Nestle.
Oh.
But I used to know someone, and they were like, "Oh, we supply the ice cream to that location."
Oh.
Because I was like, "Oh, they have the best." And then they told me, and I was like, so then I knew. But they also, you couldn't get it in small containers. But we've got the local place now that does good ice cream, so who cares? Yeah. And also that's Laura Secret's not open anymore. It's Purdy's now.
Yeah, something like that.
Anyway, I'm all over the place. Chocolate.
Yeah.
I went on a whole rant about that on Facebook, on my personal page. I was agreeing with another author about dark chocolate tastes like sadness. The unpaid intern likes dark chocolate. I hate it so much. I do not like dark chocolate. If I want chocolate, I want good chocolate. I don't want to eat sadness. Okay? And that's what dark chocolate tastes like. Unless the only time dark chocolate is acceptable is if it's like a dessert or a treat or something that is super, super sweet. And then the dark chocolate is part of it. That's great because the dark chocolate cuts the sweetness. Then I'm just like dark chocolate, sweet, something, a little bit of sea salt. Heck yeah. Like caramel. Caramel with dark chocolate. Yeah, because caramel's sweet. It's sugar. Anyway. I like milk chocolate. And I'm a sugar fiend, is what it is. But anyway, it was a lifetime supply of dog food, but you don't have a dog. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I appreciate you all tuning in. And good, I'm glad the cards that I sent out have been arriving. Good. Hopefully, last week there were 2 winners because I made 2 cards. And then this one, I'm hoping to get them sent out this week. It's just going to depend. My life is chaos, y'all. It's just, I've had a lot on my plate and things have been a little bit rough behind the scenes in a lot of ways. I still will have a lot of videos coming. I do plan, I might be doing a bonus live this week. I'm not as extra when I know for a lot of my American friends, because Thursday's Thanksgiving. I always have to like stop. I remember, because us Canadians, we celebrate Thanksgiving in October. So much better. Gives a nice like bigger chunk of time between Thanksgiving and Christmas. So it's like we recover from all the turkey and the leftovers, and then we do it again at Christmas. But anyway, I know Thanksgiving is Thursday. I'm not sure when I will do a bonus. It might actually end up being Thursday, but it'll just be a bonus for funsies. And like I always do, I keep them all up anyway, so people can watch on the replay. And yeah, we will just see we'll just see what happens with everything. Because at right this moment, as usual, I am literally flying by the seat of my pants. My email inbox is a mess. I have a million things I need to figure out. I have just a lot of stuff on my plate with not just work, but personal stuff, etc., etc. And yeah, I will still be doing a bunch of holiday cards because one, I still have ideas, and it's this time of year. Um, so I will be doing a bunch still. I go right up until Christmas with the holiday cards, and then this year was the first year that I continued and was doing at least one holiday card video a month, which I never did in previous years. I was always asked. I had so many requests for it, and I was just like, sure, we'll see. And then I never did it because I was just like, the minute, Christmas was over, I was just done. It's like I just didn't have the brain space. But I did it this year, and I'm really glad I did. It took a lot of the pressure off because I was able to make, I don't know how many videos I did before we even really got into it, and it was a lot. I made a lot of cards because I send a lot out. And yeah, so bunch of holiday cards, bunch of random stuff. The Valentine New Year type stuff will be starting to roll out soon-ish. Yeah, things are. Yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff. I'm just trying to think of some of the stuff that's going to be coming. Not like this week, but there's going to be some early December releases from some of the brands I work with. So there's some good stuff coming. And then yeah, there'll be the Black Friday shenanigans. Like I said, I will edit my sale page on my website, and I always try to keep up with as much of that kind of stuff. And for those that want to shop or are planning on shopping, I will post what I find and the links and the codes and all the things. And yeah, I got a bunch of deadlines to deal with. And yes, December. We'll just see. We'll just see. Altenew also has some fun stuff coming. Just trying to think about their December stuff. Yes, there's that, and then all kinds of stuff in the new year. I can't believe we're already at almost the end of November. It just feels bizarre. I've literally been responding to some of the emails from some of the brands I work with, and I'm just like, no. They're asking about December stuff, January stuff, February, some work way in advance, and I'm just like, what? I don't know what I'm doing. So there's going to be all sorts of fun things, and yeah, it's going to be good. I have a mess to clean up. Not surprised. I have a mess to clean up. I'll do the little photos and all of the things, and then yeah, just stay tuned. Stay tuned. I'll have videos. Most likely at least one bonus live this week. I'm just not exactly sure yet when, because I have literal 5 million other things I need to figure out. And then I'll be live on Sunday, as always, at 2 p.m. On Sundays we go live. So I will be seeing you all again. And yeah, that's it. I gotta go. Oh, don't forget my little code if anyone is wanting to shop or whatever right now. I'll pimp that out one more time. My little live code. The link is in the description box below with the code, all the info, etc., etc. So you can check that out. And then yeah, I'll take the photos, do the social medias, all the things. And that's why I always delay and procrastinate actually ending the live, because I'm just looking at the mess I have to clean up, and I just don't want to. I don't want to. Because once this camera goes off, I got to start cleaning up. So I appreciate you guys. And I will see you all very soon in another video. And I hope you guys all have a great rest of your day. Bye. Thank you so much to my amazing Patreon supporters. For anyone that might be interested in joining my Patreon community and supporting me, the link to my Patreon is in the description box below the video. For everyone else, as always, thank you all so much for taking the time to watch my videos, for thumbs upping, commenting, subscribe if you haven't, I'd love to have you. And here's a couple other videos for you to check out in case you missed them. Bye!